Now they're talking about our electric prices going up. And this is going to continue behind this idea of capping, emissions. So what they're going to do is you're going to start seeing carbons being traded. So Southern Power in Georgia, who they produce 21.8 metric tons of carbon emissions because they have a huge piece of coal that they're still using. Well, if the limits are set by the EPA of 19 billion for the state of Georgia, then the state of Georgia now is going to be allowed through this cap and trade system to be able to buy some carbon emissions from the state of Mississippi, who's a lot lower. So if the state of Mississippi has any extra carbon emissions, they can sell it. Key word here is sell it to Georgia. Georgia can buy it so that they can have some room since they're producing 21.8 tons. It's also going to force states, this is the whole idea. No, it's not. It's some of the idea. They're going to force states to start thinking about green energy, of course, start thinking about the obviously the conversion to natural gas, which has a lot less carbon emissions. So they're going to start seeing those conversions from coal. Again, this is all putting the coal industry out of business here in the United States. And that's what we're going to start seeing. So now there is going to be a whole new source of trade in carbon emissions. But more importantly, it's going to allow the federal government to first control the states and what the states are doing. It's going to give them enormous power over the states, and it's going to eventually lead to power over the citizens of a particular state, because it is going to trickle down into the guy that's got a three-man bakery shop that has to use an enormous amount of carbon emissions in order to bake bread or cakes or whatever it is they bake. And it's going to trickle down to that guy. Only that guy's not going to have the money to buy some carbon emissions from somebody else, and they'll be out of business. It is going to give, this is why I said way back when, it is the biggest power grab in social control. They'll be able to control, hey, sorry, can't heat that much. I know it's cold this winter, but you got to crank it down and, buy a sweater. I don't know what to tell you, but you can't have your heat that high. I mean, it's going to literally give an enormous amount of control over the American people. And we're just starting to see the beginning of it. So when I was on a talk show in Phoenix, I remember it very well, when the cap and trade bill was denied, was shot down. I said it's going to be a nightmare because it isn't going to go away unless this president gets out of office before they start implementing. But it's handed off to the EPA, and it's going to be a huge problem. And these guys were calling me conspiracy theorist and all that kind of stuff. But I ended the conversation with it was two of them, two guys that were interviewing me. I ended the conversation with them is, here's the problem with all your listeners. I'm afraid they might think you're right. But I'm just saying to all your listeners, you're dead wrong and I'm right. And that's how we ended it. And I ought to call them and see if they want to interview me again in light of this information. But it's not going away, and it's going to be a huge problem. If we think Obamacare was an issue for a power grab and more social control, we haven't seen anything compared to the likes of cap and trade.